You're listening to the Maniculum, pointing the finger at the Middle Ages. We bring you the choicest medieval nonsense, discuss and evaluate it, then pillage it for our own geeky purposes.
This is part 2 of The Wonders of the East. We are picking up right where part 1 left off, in the middle of the same recording. So I would advise listening to part 1 first. But if you don't want to, whatever. I'm not your mom. You do you. Near the Brixen River, there are men born who are 50 feet tall.
Whoa!
And they have white bodies and 2 noses on one head, but their knees are very red. Their nose is long, and their hair black. Here is a Knowles version of this, by the way.
What?
That is bizarre.
When they wish to give birth, they travel on ships to India, and there bring their kin into the world.
Why? Sounds like too much trouble.
That's just what they do.
Fair enough.
Also, notice that Knowles is maybe wearing clothes, maybe not. It's not really clear. Whereas Tiberius is very definitely naked.
We gotta show the butt! We gotta show the butt!
Always the booty! That's
I also
bizarre.
like that both of these people, or the illustrations they're working from possibly, decided that 2 noses obviously means 2 faces.
That is not how I interpreted that at all.
No. Well, they also both have horns.
There's no justification for it in the text. It doesn't say they also have 4 eyes and 2 mouths.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been a kind of bigger thing. Also, what's with the drinking horns? They both have drinking horns, which I think is fascinating.
I'm going to assume that was a creative decision that whoever did the illustrations that these are originally based on made, and it just stuck.
Yeah.
The face on the left looks a little bit like Ted Cruz.
Oh my god, it does.
And that is unfortunate
for
this two-headed, two-faced man.
Yes.
I guess we can conclusively say that he is not the Zodiac Killer, given that we have evidence that goes much further than that.
He used to live on the back of a giant's head like Voldemort.
It's much darker.
Oh no! Oh dear.
I can't unsee it now.
Neither can I.
That's really
I'm going to
terrible.
move on from the giant Ted Cruz.
Oh no.
Also, he's on the butt side.
There is a land in Gaul called Ciconia, or possibly Cisonia, or possibly Lyconia, because it varies manuscript to manuscript. There, men are born in 3 colors. Not like there are 3 different colors of people, but each person there is 3 colors.
Oh. Okay.
Their heads are maned like those of lions. They are 20 feet tall, and they have a mouth as great as a winnowing fan.
They really buried the lead on that one. Oh, they're in 3 colors.
True.
Also, lion head.
Giants.
Giants.
There's still more important stuff about them.
Oh no.
If they perceive any human in their land, or if any person is following them, what do you think they do? I want to give you a chance to guess this. What Barry says, kill him?
Kill him.
They probably, roar at them, or their mouth, unhinges like a snake and they swallow them whole. I don't know.
It's gotta be something
like
more
that
intense
idea.
than just killing them, because I don't think he would have asked if it wasn't.
Right.
Well, no, what they do is they flee far away, and they sweat blood.
Ooh.
Honestly, same.
Me after COVID, coming out of quarantine.
Just sweating blood.
No.
Fleeing.
I like that image. There's this giant lion-headed thing, but if you get too close, not only will it run away, but as it does, it'll sweat blood.
That's a terrifying defense mechanism, to be fair.
It does look so gentle in the picture, though.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And we have one more sentence about them. These are thought to be people.
But
No,
we're
wait,
not
I-
sure.
I guess as in, since they run away, we can't be sure, but we're pretty sure they're human intelligence.
Yeah, that makes
20
sense.
feet tall, lion heads. They're probably people, though.
It's very inclusive. It's an inclusive way to think about it.
Yeah.
They do seem very vague about, who's people and who's not.
Right.
Okay, but they were pretty vague about who was people and who's not throughout the entirety of the Middle Ages. I mean, were witches people? Were Jews people? Those things were all in question.
One of the other
Fair.
travel literatures, I think it's John Mandeville, seems to very clearly come down on the Jews are not people side.
Right?
Woof.
So this is actually an incredibly inclusive text.
Yeah,
That's true.
everybody can be a people,
Yeah.
except those chickens.
Yeah, those chickens and snakes don't count.
Beyond the river Brixen, east from there, are people, born great and tall. They have feet and shanks 12 feet long, and chests 7 feet long. They are named Hostes, Hostes.
Oh, that's Latin for enemy.
It is, because, certainly, any man they catch, they devour.
Ooh, so they're cannibals as well.
Yes. And here is a picture from Noel.
This is Attack on Titan.
Oh no!
They're just big people that eat other people.
Yeah.
I
And
guess
here's
so.
Tiberius's version, which has them actually eating a person in the picture.
Oh my gosh. He's
You can
furry.
almost hear this person going, no.
Yeah.
Why does he have like fur going down his back?
Again, a lot of the like creative flourishes in these were probably in an earlier version and they're just copying them. So there's no
That's-
way to know what's original to the illustrator and what isn't.
That's fascinating. Especially because the lion guy looks so gentle, and then you like go
Yeah.
an illustration over, and there's this
He's
guy
eating a guy.
who looks human, but he's eating you.
Yes.
You know, if I lived during this period and saw one of these things, I would definitely never ever travel outside my village.
No, if I just read this somewhere, heard someone telling a story about this, I'd be like, well, that's it. I'm never going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right?
I will not explore.
Yes. I'm good right here. My Hamlet's great. I will be an apprentice. I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, being an apprentice does sound pretty nice. In a medieval Hamlet, like I'd do that.
Yeah, like blacksmithing, that'd be pretty fun. I
Yeah.
think that'd be fun. Hard work,
Yeah.
but fun.
I would be bad at it.
What about baking?
Not good at baking either.
No?
Good at cooking. Not
There you
good
go.
at baking.
That's fair. I think I would die if I had to be a seamstress or sew or use a shuttle.
I would love that,
I like
actually.
Ugh. No.
I would probably be like the old crone that just does the perpetual stew pot, you know?
Yes.
I'd be on board with being like a tailor's apprentice. That sounds nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'd cut my hair short and be a blacksmith's apprentice. I probably wouldn't be allowed to. I'd probably be killed at some point or married off, but
If you could get away with it.
if I could get away with it.
Which was apparently more common than people think.
True. This is true.
Like, judging by the number of historical accounts of that being done successfully, we have to assume there are a lot more that just weren't written down.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Okay, so we've gotten through the cannibals.
Yes.
The tall cannibals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The Titans.
Then, along the Brixen, are wild beasts. They are called Lurtices. They have the ears of asses, and the wool of sheep, and the feet of birds. And here is a picture of one between a person and possibly a monkey. I'm not sure what that is. Future Mac here. The other figure in the drawing, which I was confused about, is, according to Simon Thompson's article, another Hostes. The reason it's depicted twice is, again, according to Simon Thompson, because there are actually two artists involved in illustrating the Noel Codex, and they both drew one. So there you go.
So many. I feel like at this point,
The guy's face. He looks like, what's the guy from the show? Like Nigellus or something. He's got like a
Nigel
really... Yes.
Thornberry.
Yes. He's got the long nose and the eye.
He looks like Nigel Thornberry. He also looks like Coraline's dad.
Ooh, he does.
Coraline.
I think it kind of looks like he was drawn by Picasso since his eye has been rotated 90 degrees.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so this is very close to a griffin,
Yeah.
which is recognizable. We know what griffins are.
Yeah.
He's just missing the wings.
The illustration kind of looks like a cocker spaniel to me.
That's true.
Does a bit. Here is Tiberius's picture of the Lurtices, by the way.
Oh,
So cute.
so cute.
Yeah, which I think is actually more accurate, because it really does look like it has the ears of
Yeah.
asses and the wool of sheep and the feet of birds.
Yeah.
The feet of birds is throwing me off a little bit,
Yeah, it's a little suspect.
Yeah.
but very cute.
Yes.
There is another island south from the Brixen. On that island, men are born without heads.
Hate that.
They have their eyes and mouth on their chests.
I know these guys.
Yeah, the Blimier.
Yes.
They are in a lot of these texts. They don't get a name here, but we know that's what they are. They are 8 feet tall and 8 feet broad, and here is a picture of one.
Wow.
Wow. Just square boys.
Yeah. An absolute unit.
How much would it suck having your nose so close to your armpits?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. What about clothing? That would be weird. That'd be hard to make clothing.
I think he's wearing a skirt.
The original killed.
Yeah.
Honestly, makes sense. You don't have time to think about your clothes when you look square.
Which is, of course, the decision made by Tiberius, because here's his version.
Oh my. This one has no decorative fig leaves.
Or does he? Because it looks like something's been scraped out.
It looks like he just has hair.
Yeah.
Just pubes and no genitals.
Oh gosh.
Also, because of the ink transfer, he's got the skin of a cow. He's
Yeah.
all white and black blotchy.
This is true. Oh man.
It's very cool how he's sort of holding the frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sort of breaking the fourth wall there.
That's one of the things that Mittman brings up a lot when he talks about this art. And
Yeah.
this is actually this picture is on the cover of a book about monsters by a guy named Orchard, because it's the fact that he's like breaking out of the frame is considered very symbolic.
Is it Andy Orchard?
Andy Orchard,
Oh, I
that's the
love
guy.
this stuff.
It makes me think of Scott McCloud, who writes about comic books and wrote Understanding Comics, talks about how a lot of comic book scholars sort of like see comics coming out of medieval art.
I can see that.
And this seems very indicative of that, because we almost have like a panel and it's playing with the panel is like a confines for a story almost. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
We do see a lot of independent stories that might have basically a panel on one page that is then transferred, and we see something else happening that follows on the next page. And so that kind of crossover does happen, and so does the breaking of the frame. That is very indicative of a lot of medieval art.
Yeah.
I think the Renaissance almost reversed that a little bit as things became more formalized into what we consider quote-unquote art. And so we had to rediscover that in a way.
Yeah, you can also kind of see it just in these two manuscripts, because Tiberius always puts his guys in boxes, but Noel will like maybe put a little border around them, but sometimes they're just running wild on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, just in case any of our listeners are getting confused, Tiberius and Noel are not the names of the scribes. We don't have the names of the scribes. Those are the names of the manuscripts.
Yes. Okay.
Next step, dragons are born.
Oof.
I knew Zoe was going to make that face. That are 150 feet in length.
Yes.
They are as large as great stone pillars, which is not indicative at all.
No, it's really not.
But a fun side note is the word used in the Old English is swer, S-W-E-R, which Bosworth Toller says can either be pillar or mother-in-law.
I feel like there's a great idiom for that.
Probably. I also like that these are very clearly Oriental dragons somehow.
Yeah.
Like, not only are they wingless, but they have those beards.
Yes, they do.
Because of the multitude of dragons, no person may easily travel in that land.
This goes with our Oriental text that we did. Because there were dragons popping up all over the place.
Yeah, and sometimes they were dragons, and sometimes they were naga, and sometimes they were just like scaly sea monsters of some kind.
Oh, man.
We should go back to that at some point. I really enjoy
That's
that text.
a great text. But these are great dragons.
Yeah, and here's Tiberius's version.
Also great.
I'm loving the Celtic knot motif here.
Yeah, I think it's cool. They don't have beards in this one, though.
No, but they've got like, one of them's got some hair.
Yeah, or like spines.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like gnolls look more like dragons, and these just look like snakes.
Yeah.
That's fair.
This picture with the knot does make me wonder about the possibility of like a giant rat king of dragons.
Ooh.
And that concerns me.
Ooh.
That's a terrifying idea.
just gonna write that down.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know what a rat king is, Mary, please do explain.
Oh my gosh. A rat king.
Like, we're not talking the Nutcracker here.
No, it is a phenomenon.
Although I'm sure there's an inspiration there.
Rats can get so tangled up, their tails can get so tangled up, they're just a ball of rats. Just a ball of a bunch of rats. My experience with this, I had no clue what a rat king was, and then I ran an RPG called The Secrets of Cats, where everyone plays a magic cat.
Yes.
That must protect humans who are stupid and don't know anything about magic.
Of course.
Was this RPG being played in by people we know?
Yes.
Was Jenny the one who brought up Rat Kings?
She wasn't. I don't think Jenny... Did Jenny play in this game? She might have. Everyone was really concerned because I drew a map that I was really proud of, and they said that a lake looked like a dick.
Ugh, players.
So we kind of got hung up on that for a while.
Always players. Why do they always do this?
I just wanted to check, because Rat King sounds like the sort of thing Jenny would drop into conversation.
The big bad of that session was a Rat King, and I started describing it, and everyone was like, oh no, this is bad. This is bad. You know, like, our fun game about kittens now has this gross thing in it.
Ooh. No, Rat Kings are terrifying.
But imagine if they were dragons.
That's even more terrifying.
Yes.
Also, a side note for anyone who's yelling at their speakers right now, Rat Kings are one of those things that is, like, questionably real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, there's very little material evidence that this is a thing that happens.
It almost feels like an urban legend.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a myth. Because it sounds maybe plausible.
Right.
Right?
But there's not really any proof.
Yeah.
Like, there are, I think, a couple in formaldehyde, but it's unclear whether those are naturally occurring or someone did that.
Yeah.
Which, like, given the history of freak shows and oddities exhibits, they're probably fake.
Probably.
But it's still very creepy in a good way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
it's fun to think
free
about.
to use in D&D, so.
Yes.
There you go.
Or the cat RPG.
Also true. All right, what is next after our dragons? Our multitude of dragons.
Distance away from that place is another kingdom on the south side of the sea. Interestingly, here the word used for sea is Garsech, which means spearman, which for reasons unknown is understood to be sea. I think it's a kinning that we don't remember how it works anymore.
Makes sense.
Because we see that same idiom in Beowulf too, is that the sea is the spearman. Why? I don't know, it just is. Anyway, another kingdom on the south side of the sea where homo dubii are born. That is, doubtful people. This is clearly an instance, I think, of a scribe getting confused at some point.
Right.
Because even though this mistake is in both manuscripts, I think it just means that there was a mistake made further back. Because someone pushed a sentence from a previous page here.
Yeah.
Because what he's about to describe have a name. They're onocentaurs, not homo dubii.
Onocentaurs.
Yes. They are shaped like men to the navel, and are afterwards shaped like asses.
Okay.
There you go.
So why the Ono? Why not just centaurs?
Ono is donkey.
Ah, okay, yes. That checks out.
I feel like the copyist at this point was like, I give up.
Like,
Right.
this is
Try
just
to
a
draw
really
a face
terrible...
anymore.
This is a horrific
I like
drawing.
that, like, he didn't do the standard centaur thing where, like, the human torso is coming out of the horse's neck. He just drew a human from the front and then a donkey from the side and just put them on top of each other. Yes.
I feel like he started part of it and realized he didn't have enough space.
That could be it.
This,
So I gotta move him down. I guess I'll just put him in the middle.
That's bizarre. The next guy, though...
Yeah, he looks downright dignified.
Yeah.
He does. Like, look at that hair, man.
That's a fresh cut.
He looks like he's declaiming poetry.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
And what dainty legs.
Yeah, he does have, like, moose legs right there.
That is also in the text, because they have long shanks like birds.
Okay.
I think just in the fact that they're skinny, not in their shape like birds, like you see how like the top has like that muscle thing, and then below it's very thin. And they have voices that, again, it could be mild, kind, gentle, or soft.
Oh, so some nice centaurs here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they see or perceive any person in that country, they flee far away.
Makes sense. Like our
But
lion-headed
do they
friends.
sweat blood?
Does not say they sweat blood.
Good to know.
There is another place where there are barbarous men. They have 110 kings under them. They are the worst people and the most barbarous. There are 2 lakes, one of the sun and the other of the moon. And here's how Noel thinks lakes look. Very stylized.
That's definitely not a lake.
Truly, this looks like the Wheel of Time logo.
It does. I was going to say it sort of looks like how angels are depicted in Revelation.
Yeah, he basically just drew fancy wheels.
Yes.
This is a lake, right?
The one which is of the sun is hot by day and cold by night. And the one which is of the moon is hot by night and cold by day. And also here's Tiberius's picture of them.
I do not like that picture.
No, it's distressing.
That is very phallic.
Yeah, exactly. The Seussian style has made it phallic.
There's no need for that little hill.
No, and for anyone who is not looking at these as we're going through them, they will be on the blog, but if you're not looking at these images as you're going through them, it really is phallic. We are not exaggerating here. It's bad.
Yeah.
Also, if you're not looking at the pictures, you're doing yourself a disservice because
Very true.
the pictures are really adding.
They're delightful.
Well, they might be listening while driving or something,
True.
in which case we don't encourage switching
No,
to...
do not look while you're driving, but when you get to your destination.
Yeah, have
Take
a
a
good
peek.
laugh over these.
These are all, by the way, screenshots of the manuscripts that have been, digitized by the museums that hold
Woot
them.
woot, love digitization.
Yeah. Which I don't know if these manuscripts are public domain in Britain, but by American law, I'm pretty sure they are. Anyway, in this place, there's a type of tree, which is like the laurel, and olive trees.
Nice.
From that tree is born balsam, the most precious of oils. And here is... This indicates to me that some of the Seussian aesthetic came from the person both of these guys are working from, because Noel's tree is now very Seussian.
Yes. I love the colors.
Yeah. And here's Tiberius's, which is not as impressive, honestly. I like Noel's version of this better.
Mm-hmm. They're both so nice, though. Like, the leaves are so delicate.
And here's one of our more confusing bits. There's a certain island in the Red Sea, where there is a type of people who are named Donestra among us. They grow like soothsayers, from the head to the navel, and the other half is like a human.
Like, wait, whoa.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack.
Yes. I looked this up. Or rather, I went into Mittman's work, Inconceivable Beasts, which is about this text. And here is how he tries to explain this. It is unclear to us how a soothsayer ought to appear, or why this soothsayerness seems to be included as a non-human element in the text.
Right.
The very term at play for soothsayer, however, bears scrutiny. It has generally been transcribed and interpreted as friteras, Friteras, and sometimes there's an H between the I and the T.
Mm-hmm.
Friteras. Though it is written as frifterus, which is a possible scribal error.
Right.
A word which does not appear as such in the dictionary of the Old English corpus.
Mm-mm.
This spelling could of course be a mistake on the part of the scribe of the manuscript, or a hapax legomenon referring to the unfamiliar creature illustrated in the manuscript. Here's Noel's unfamiliar creature, by the way. The illumination shows an odd creature, whose appearance in relation to humans appears at first glance perhaps more anatin than carnivorous. That's A-N-A-T-I-N-E, i.e. duck-like, for anyone who's trying to parse that one. And he does kind of have a duck bill.
It does. I like the staff, which it looks like a foot, not a foot.
It is a foot.
It is a foot?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Oh, no. No. Okay. I like my staff better, but okay.
However, based on the content of the text and image, it seems as possible that the word might be an unknown derivation of fretan, meaning to consume, or fretol, meaning gluttonous, as a corruption of friteras.
That would make sense with the foot.
Yes,
So
let's learn more about these people now.
Oh, so they're more like cannibals.
That is only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, no.
Anyway, the other half is like the body of a human, and they know human language. Apparently all of them, like all of the languages.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Because when they see people of foreign types, they name to him and his kin the names of men they know, and with false words they entice him and seize him, and then after that they eat all of him except the head, and then they sit and weep over the head. And here's Tiberius showing all the phases of this. You talk to him, you eat him, and then you cry about it.
Edward?
I'm going to show off for just a second.
Yes.
Go ahead.
A kitten who is coming in for dinner time. He's mad because he's eating.
Oh, look at him.
Look at him.
Beautiful.
He does look like he's
please.
annoyed that you've interrupted his
Please
meal.
let me eat, Mom.
What's his name?
His name is Edward.
Aw.
He's a
Beautiful.
very big boy.
Yes, indeed.
He has to eat in here because he'll bully our other cat out of her food.
Ah,
Oh.
fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so this is very, very odd.
Isn't it?
It is. It also sounds really familiar somehow.
To what?
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is entirely, I have no idea if this is true. It's just one of those, like, I feel like I heard this sometime of like a cannibalistic tribe that saved the head because that was significant of something. It was like to honor them.
That makes sense for some reason.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of head saving, both among the Celts and other, like, Pacific Island and Amazonian peoples.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that checks out.
What's so interesting about this is that they speak names that the people know
Yeah.
That's a very...
and try to lure them in.
Yeah.
That reminded me of something in pop culture that I thought was where you were going.
Oh. Well, it
Wait a
reminded
minute.
me... Well, hold on.
Something
It reminded me of, like,
weird.
will-o'-the-wisps and stuff in terms of, like... Or, there's some, not Selkies, but some, like, mermaid myths where you might hear... There's actually a lot of... I can't think of the specific people, but there's some African tribes where they say if you are inside the house and you hear your name called outside the house, you do not answer.
Right.
Because it could be a spirit drawing you away.
Yep.
What are you thinking about, Max?
How well do you remember the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
You know what? And I hate to out myself like this. I have never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I have. Wait a minute.
I've never seen it. And I feel like the time has passed for me.
That's fair.
Yeah, honestly.
I enjoyed the first bit of it. I can't remember where you're going with this, though. I saw it such a long time ago.
There is an episode in the first season where Xander and a few classmates are possessed by hyena spirits. And there we get into this old legend, which I think is a legitimate legend from Africa, about how you will hear your name called in the night, but it's hyenas mocking human language.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that.
Future Mac here. I found a few sources that assert this to be an African legend, but couldn't find any actual citations for that. Please let me know if you find any. I'd love to know. However, this legend is described by our Roman friend Pliny the Elder, who says as follows in his chapter on the hyena. Many other wonderful things are also related of this animal, and strangest of all, that it imitates the human voice among the stalls of the shepherds, and while there, learns the name of some one of them, and then calls him away and devours him.
That makes a lot of sense, though, especially with the animal depiction of the top.
I think there might be a link there, assuming that is... Because, again, I don't know what the age of that particular legend is,
Right.
how long it's been around, where it comes from.
That's fascinating.
But that's just what this reminds me of.
May I also note here that this is the only image so far where we've seen actual genitalia.
I'm not sure that's what that is. I think that's a splotch trying to cover
Yeah.
them up. It's just very,
You think?
unfortunately, uterus-shaped.
Yeah.
I guess. What about the first one?
Maybe? I'm really unclear on whether that's an intentional depiction of genitalia or another strategic, like, splotching.
I don't know. Could go either way.
Yeah.
Listeners, you let us know.
Yeah. Tell us what you think.
This is the most fascinating creature
It is.
Right?
so far.
I kind of love them.
The Donestra. Okay, what is next?
Then in the east, there are born people who are in growth 50 feet tall and 10 feet broad. They have great
These get
heads
taller
and
and taller.
ears like fans. One ear they spread under themselves at night, and the other they wrap themselves in.
Practical.
Very practical.
Honestly.
These ears are very light, and their bodies are white as milk, and if they see any person in that land, then they take their ears in hand and flee far so quickly that it is thought that they are flying, presumably because the ears look like wings.
These sound like it's some sort of
my
bird.
ears and go.
This is another time when I really like the contrast, because again, Knowles is kind of like, it's a kind of misshapen guy with big ears,
Right.
whereas Tiberius is sashaying.
This is fashion.
Wait, it's Shrek.
A little bit.
Knowles? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's got Shrek ears. And then the other guy, it reminds me of that, like, do your ears hang low? Do they wobble? Do they float? Can you tie him in a bow?
And these people would say, yes.
Yes, I can. I can do all of these things.
For anyone who's not seeing these pictures, the Tiberius version is wearing his ears like a feather boa.
Yes,
Yes.
a very dramatic feather boa.
This guy's going on RuPaul's Drag Race. He will be using his ears as part of his lip sync routine.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely.
What else have we got?
There is a certain island in which people are born, whose eyes shine as bright as a great lantern was kindled in the dark of night.
Just like the snakes.
That's all we need to know about them. Here's a picture of Knoll where their head is missing
Yes.
because the manuscript's been damaged.
Nice leggings, though.
And here's a picture from Tiberius where I think the, like, fuzzy smoky stuff is supposed to indicate that it's light around him.
Oh.
It's a little aura.
Yeah.
Oh, the blue.
Like it's purple on the outside and there's a blue
Yeah.
haze and then there's yellow around him. I think that's to indicate there's light.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fascinating.
There is a certain island. There was built in the days of King Bela and Job a temple of wrought iron. And Tiberius says brass and Knoll says molten glass. So take your guess. This is kind of odd because these two words are similar in modern English, but not in Old English.
Oh, glass and brass?
Yeah, Old English for glass is glass, but their word for brass is adin.
Interesting.
So looking at it from a modern English perspective, you can go like, oh, you just wrote the wrong letter. But
No.
Old English doesn't work like that. It's a different word.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is also a point where the two manuscripts diverge, because Tiberius wants you to know that in that same place is east from there, another temple holy to the sun. There, an excellent and benevolent priest is seated, and he protects and cares for that building. Whereas Knoll says about this same situation, at the sunrise is seated Quietus, who is the most gentle, calm, stable, unchanging, or silent, again, translation issue, of bishops, who does not eat any food except... What do you think he eats? I just want to hear a guess.
Some kind of plant.
Well, I was going to say, like, ambrosia or honey or, like, tears of the gods or something.
Yeah.
That would be the reasonable guess, but the answer is sea oysters.
I mean, that's much more practical.
And he lives on them.
Good for him,
Makes
I
sense.
guess.
Yeah.
So, some kind of immortal saint who lives on sea oysters is on this island caring for a temple. Here is Knoll's picture of him.
Mm-hmm.
You see he's in his temple. And here is Tiberius's, which this time I think is a little more questionable.
He is large.
Amazing.
Yes, he looks like a giant.
Well, that's just the perspective of how they drew these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I like the attempt at perspective here.
You mean how the walls are kind of cubist?
Yeah.
I like him.
I feel like resources, art supplies probably were not cheap.
Probably.
You get halfway through and you're like, well, I guess this is what we're doing now.
I mean, parchment is expensive. It's not like you can...
Yes.
And there's only so many times you can scrape it clean before you just scrape it through.
Mm-hmm.
There is a golden vineyard at the rising of the sun, which has berries 150 feet across.
Wow.
Inside these berries are grown pearls and gemstones, which makes them a choking hazard, I would say.
Yes, definitely. But also, I don't expect anyone to, like, grab one of these berries and just chomp into it.
Then again, if we got like 20-foot tall people.
True.
Yeah,
This
maybe.
is true.
Again, here is Knoll's depiction of these berries, which is just a generic Seussian plant thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiberius's, which is also a Seussian plant, but it's
On
on
a
this frame
trellis.
that makes it looks like, a trellis. It looks like one you'd find in the vineyard.
Yeah. Very nice. So they just have gemstones in them?
Yeah.
Grow your own gemstones. All right.
There is another kingdom in the land of Babylon. There is the greatest mountain, between the mountains of the Medes and those of Armenia. She is of all mountains largest and highest. There are born decent men, who have for their kingdom and rule the Red Sea. There are born precious stones. Here are the decent men. I love their facial expressions.
Wow!
A little too much.
They're not okay.
The one in the middle looks like he's saying, "Aren't these drugs great?"
He really does.
I feel like the gentleman on the left and in the middle, they are just on one, and then the guy on the right's like, I had to work with these guys again.
Yeah.
I hate these guys.
Like, they come up to work, hi, I can't deal with this anymore.
Wow.
Very impressive.
This is the less interesting picture from Tiberius.
Those Seussian hills, though. Like, the Dr. Seuss.
Still got those.
Yeah.
Around that place are women born, who have beards as far as their chests, and have horse hides to make their clothing. They are named the greatest huntresses, and rather than hounds, they have tigers and leopards, which they raise/feed. Here's Noel's version of that, by the way. I like the, horizontal quadruped and the giant peanut.
It's a giant peanut. I like her dress.
These are the keenest of beasts, the leopards, I assume, and they hunt all the types of wild beasts that are born on that mountain.
Wow. Here's
Tiberius's version of the bearded women, which honestly just looks like a guy, because he doesn't include anything to indicate woman.
That's true. I feel like this is not the first time we've encountered bearded women.
They're kind of a staple.
They are a bit of a staple.
What about this person says woman, or was he afraid to draw titties?
I think he was afraid to draw
titties. He was definitely afraid to draw the titties.
Yeah.
Judging by the butts, I think Tiberius is not interested in butts. I think his preferences go the other way.
Everybody can be interested in a good butt.
This is true. Butts are universal.
Right, but all of the butts were on men.
This is also true.
And there have been 0 women so far.
Yes.
This is true. This is the first woman.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I have so many questions about the bearded women. Because, I mean, bearded women are not, so uncommon.
Mm-mm.
Women have just learned hair removal.
Yeah, women can grow facial hair.
Yeah.
I don't think quite as much, but...
No, but, especially if women have some sort of hormonal imbalance or have PCOS that causes them to grow hair on their faces. It's not that uncommon.
No. But it's fascinating to me that this is a specific people group.
Yes.
Is PCOS genetic? Or because we see it spotted around. It's not one group of people necessarily.
No, it's not. I want to say it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Gynecology has not had the resources and time put into it as a lot of other medical fields.
What? Are you saying that patriarchy even affects medical priorities?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are things that we didn't figure out until shockingly recently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, didn't obstetricians only decide babies felt pain 30 years ago?
Oh, gosh. I don't know, but that sounds right,
That's
honestly.
Very depressing.
We didn't get pap smears until, the 60s or 70s, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. And tampons were first used for bullets in World War I, and then women were like, hey, these would also fit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I feel like I maybe have a use for something that absorbs blood.
Yeah.
Can I have these?
Can I borrow some of these? So, I think we don't know that much about PCOS. I have PCOS, and even my doctor is it could be a lot of things. We basically just say any woman with an irregular period has PCOS.
Yeah.
Which...
It's very, very broad.
Is very broad.
That sounds exactly like the kind of diagnostic criteria they would use in the medieval era.
Yes.
That's true.
Except it's 2021. So, I suspect there's probably some genetic component, but I don't know. But doctors don't know.
That's fair. We gotta do a lot more research on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this is why bearded women are a staple in a lot of these texts, is that they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah.
It's just not what people think of as the norm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
for sure.
Statistically, it's also a smaller likelihood, so people are more inclined to be like, huh, what's that?
But women have made it work for them.
Yeah.
For hundreds of years.
Mhm.
You know, of the wildest things freak shows can give and like the illusions freak shows can provide for people, bearded women were actually pretty legit.
Mm-hmm. Also tattooed women. That was also an oddity.
Yeah, because like, come on, you got tattoos. Like
I feel like the main reason those are even entries in freak shows is just because like you can just hire someone. Like,
yeah.
You've got tattoos. Come hang out here. We'll pay you to exist.
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, but we've got these bearded women who are apparently really good with their lions.
Yeah. I also like that apparently neither of the artists has any idea what a lion or a leopard is supposed to look like, and so they just draw them as dogs.
Yes.
they're cute though.
They are cute. Also, I don't think our first artist knows what a woman looks like.
No. No, I'm not. I've got no idea what's going on there.
Like, But I feel like this supports our earlier theory, so.
Yes.
Yeah. But we're also about to learn some different things about Tiberius's woman drawing habits, because there are other women
Whoa.
In the medieval
who
period?
have boar's tusks and hair as far as their heels and oxtails on their loins.
Dope.
These women are 30 feet tall, and their skins are the whiteness of marble, and they have camel's feet and ass's teeth.
These do not sound like women.
No,
They sound
wait.
like orcs.
Here's Noel's version. They do sound a bit like orcs.
like orcs.
Tiberius's version, I'm going to go ahead and say, is kind of hot.
That booty, though.
This is true. He did include the booty.
Although still no
Well, he covered up the in this one.
Yeah.
Modesty. The tail's in a weird place.
A bit. I think he just couldn't figure out where to put a tail on a person.
Yeah.
That's true.
He's like, I really want to showcase this dump truck. What do I do with this tail? I
We'll
don't
throw
know.
it on
It
there.
can come out of a cheek.
There
Yeah,
we
like
go.
instead of coming out above the butt, it's just like
Right.
halfway down one cheek.
Yeah.
I'm also really digging these cloven feet.
Yeah, right?
It's like,
These hooves. This is a good look.
Isn't this how Huldra are described?
There's some similarities, yeah.
Do Huldra
Camel's
have...
feet, oxtails.
Yeah, Huldra have hollow backs and tails. There's also a form of where it's like a woman on the top, and then they have oxtails and they have the cloven feet. And it's not a satyr, but it's, what is it? Is it just a female satyr?
I'm honestly not sure.
Satyress? A faun, maybe? They are in Greek myths, so they do exist. Well, they exist in the mythos that previously existed outside of this text,
Yeah.
I should say.
Also, we're going to talk about them a little more because we're about to get some problematic patriarchy.
Oh boy, let's go.
Yeah.
So these women, for their greatness, they were slain by the great Macedonian Alexander. When he could not take them alive, he killed them, because they were shameful in body and unworthy.
Or they were too hot and he got scared.
Presumably we're not talking about, like, a genocide, because this paragraph started in the present tense, but,
Right.
like, Alexander encountered a group of them, and he was like, I want to take them home, and then he couldn't, and then he killed them all, and was like, F that.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense in terms of how Alexander behaved with people groups that did not want to be conquered.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it just makes a lot of sense in the way a lot of men behave.
Yeah, right?
there are like so many accounts of dudes on Tinder being like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, let me come over and have sex with you. And then as soon as they're told no, they're like, whatever, you're fat anyway.
This is true.
You're ugly. So, I see it.
Makes sense. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like Alexander and these ox-tailed women is just that, but in the ancient world and on a larger scale.
Checks out.
Ye old Tinder.
Hey girl, I like your oxtail. Those cloven hooves, you know? Just really into it.
Yeah.
By the sea is a sort of wild beast. They are called catini, or possibly catinos. They are very beautiful beasts. That's all we know about them. And there are men who live on raw flesh and honey.
Now, is that a man?
That's the man who lives on raw flesh and honey, I think.
These noses!
Truly, they have given up on noses at this point.
We have. He also doesn't really have a neck.
And here is Tiberius's version, which is much more clear about the fact that he is eating raw flesh and honey, because he is cutting meat off of a deer and eating it, and he has a bowl of honey next to
I
him.
like honey jars. That's really impressive.
Is there any indication that the raw flesh is animal flesh?
There is not.
Because it makes me think of, the old mellified man.
Oh, Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe that's where that came from.
Which, this is kind of tangential, but if you haven't heard it,
I'm sure some of our readers haven't, so...
there is a song called Sweet Bod by an artist named Lemon Demon, which is...
I love Lemon Demon.
...about the Mellified Man. And it is chef's kiss. So good. But the idea is, behind the Mellified Man, you feed someone honey, only honey, until they start pooping honey, peeing honey. They're just 100% honey. They die, because you can't live like that. You bury them in honey, and then, so many years later, you dig that up, and you eat it, like a medicine.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd explain it, because I know that at least one person has been going like, what is a Mellified Man?
Yeah, that person would be me.
But there's a song about it, sort of like romanticizing. It sounds like a sexy song, but then halfway through you're like, oh no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's great.
Very dramatic.
And I just have to say this because I always have to say this, and it's funny. Lemon Demon, his wife, Ming Doyle, who is a comic book artist, he has said in interviews that when he started writing this song, his wife said, can you please put in a part that's like saying this isn't a sex thing? Just to be clear. And he was like, yeah, I'll put that in. And he did, but when you say it's not a sex thing, it seems more like a sex thing.
Right.
Oh, boy.
I assume that what he put in, because I haven't heard this song, is literally just the words, this isn't a sex thing at some point.
It's like, this isn't sexual.
It's not
clearly
subtle.
Professional.
Oh my gosh.
It's very great. It's so fun.
That's wild. Okay, so
So all that.
maybe that's where this comes from. Impressive.
Moving on, in the left-hand part of the kingdom, because that's how you do geography, where the Catino beasts are, there are hospitable men, kings. Oh, by the way, here are some Catinos over the kings. I assume that's what that is.
Ah, yes.
They have under them manifold tyrants. Their boundaries are near the sea. From there, from the left-hand side, there are many kings. And here's another picture of many kings.
Too many kings.
So many kings.
Too many kings. This race of people live many years and are beneficent people. And here's some more problematic patriarchy.
My favorite.
We need a jingle.
We do. If anyone comes to them, then they give him a woman before they let him go on his way.
Oof.
Here is a picture that was clearly, formally, someone handing off a woman like a sack of grain. But we're missing the top, so it's no longer quite so clear.
Wow.
And then here's Tiberius's version, which looks just kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
It really does.
Because there's a bunch of guys, and they're clearly just, like, shoving this woman forward, like, take her.
This isn't funny, but the image is funny. It's just like, well, here you go. Here's your woman.
Oh my gosh.
You can go on your way.
It's one of those things where conceptually it's so absurd you want to laugh.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I fully believe women were treated like property to some extent.
100%. And to compound this,
Oh no.
the Macedonian Alexander, when he came to them, was then wondering at their humanity, nor did he wish to kill them, nor do them a whit of harm.
Yeah, because that's what it is to be human. Oh my gosh. Okay, can we just say that for the record, Alexander was not that into women?
No, he was definitely gay, wasn't he?
Yeah, or at least he went both ways, at minimum. And this is not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, why do people always want to make historical figures queer? It's like, no. Alexander was definitely engaging in gay sex.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
No judgment, but...
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, that's all we get about these people who give away women.
Boo.
You know what? I don't want to know anything else about them anyway.
There's a sort of tree. On that, the most valuable stones are born, and it is from there that they grow.
Vague.
Yep.
This seems like those berries again.
Yeah.
It does. But we don't get to know if it's the same place because we're moving on again. There is a race of people. They are colored black in countenance, and these people are called, or Noel calls them Sigilwara, and Tiberius calls them Silhjarwan, and a certain J.R.R. Tolkien has something to say about this.
Oh boy.
See, the Latin text just says Ethiopians,
Okay.
but Tolkien wrote a 2-part article on this in the journal Medium Avum, or Middle Ages, where he notes that the original Old English word appears to be Sigil Hjarwan, but his ultimate conclusion is basically define now.
Great.
Oh, Tolkien.
It really took the 2-part article to get to the bottom of that.
Well, because he investigated every possible way to interpret that and ended it with I don't know.
That's a lot like Unferth in Beowulf. Unferth's name is still not really that well known what it means.
The later form, Sigilwara, that is the version that we get in Knoll. Tolkien seems to consider this an attempt on the part of scribes to make sense of a word they no longer understood. And Sigilwara can be literally translated to mean sun dwellers.
Interesting.
That would make sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Tolkien's conclusion is as follows. Sigil may be taken as a symbol of the intricate blending of the Latin and Northern, which makes the study of Old English peculiarly interesting and controversial. Hjarwa, of that large part of ancient English language and lore which has now vanished beyond recall, Swahit Nobara. Or, to use modern English, unlike Tolkien, as if it never were.
Ah.
So he's like, okay, they forgot the other part of this, and so they turned it into sun dwellers. Zegel can mean sun or Jim.
Makes sense.
Anyway, that's all we have to say about them. They're dark, they're called Sigilwara.
Yes.
And that's actually where the Knoll Codex ends.
Ah.
Okay.
But the Tiberius version goes on a little bit longer. It wants you to know there's a certain land where vineyards grow the most, and there are the best of elephant bones attained, i.e. ivory. And here's a picture of that land. Oh no, wait, I think these are the Sigilwara.
Yes, that's right. We have them first.
Yes. And, Tiberius also has them, although they apparently have not received their sunburn yet, because they're very pale,
quite
and they look
pale.
Irish.
Yeah. But there would be a lot of really problematic ways to depict that, and it's not that bad in this text.
No, he's literally just drawn people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the land.
Yeah, this is the vineyard.
Wild.
That is so cool.
This is sort of a lovely, ornate trellis situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a certain mountain, which is called Adamans. On that mountain, there's a type of bird that is called Griffus. These birds have 4 feet, and the tails of cattle and the heads of eagles.
Yeah, we know this
and
one.
And here is our griffin.
We know that guy.
It's a griffin!
In that same place is another kind of bird called the phoenix. They have combs on their heads, like peacocks, and their nest is wrought of the most valuable spice, which people call, as Zoe already pointed out, cinnamon.
Hey!
Oh my gosh!
And here he is.
That's awesome.
The nest wrought of cinnamon looks like a bowl.
It does look like a bowl. I like how peacocky he looks. I've never seen a blue phoenix. We always make them so orangey.
Right.
But this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful take on a phoenix.
Yeah.
And of his feathers, after 1,000 years, he lights them on fire, and then young afterwards arise up from the embers.
Aw, I love the phoenix myth.
Me too.
And here is the last sentence of the Tiberius version, which does not have an illustration to go with it. There is another mountain where there are black people, and no other person may travel to those people because all of the mountain is aflame.
See, he could have stopped before that.
Yeah.
That's still a fascinating addition.
That
that sounds like it's talking about a volcano.
Yeah.
But that's what I was talking about earlier. Is it's interesting that there are people with other colors of skin. We don't have anything to say about them. I wonder if their skin is dark because they're on fire.
Yeah.
Literally on fire.
Highly impressive.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
I love this format of just, here's a thing, there's a thing.
Right?
Another thing is over here. We don't get tons of information about anything.
Manuscript maps. Turn south from Babylon.
That would have been helpful if there were directions at any point instead of just distances.
Yes.
Yeah.
It never says 100 leagues south. It just says 100 leagues away.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite is on the left-hand side.
Right. Because that's how you do geography, right?
Yeah.
Your destination is on the left-hand side of Babylon. It's thank you for that, Siri.
And we're going to end part 2 here. The segments will be in a follow-up episode.
Thank you for listening to The Maniculum. Please consider leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcast to help support the project. For more geeky editions or to see our sources and notes, check out our blog, Marginalia, at themaniculumpodcast.com. You can also join our Facebook group, The Maniculum Podcast, to join in on discussions about all things medieval. And feel free to reach out. We're on Twitter at Maniculum and on Instagram at Maniculum Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. And special thanks to Sandra Boyle, who created the music for our show. You can check out her project, Sugar Glass, on Spotify. Okay, we had our pet corner.
Yes.
Oh, great.
I talked about when Delilah ran into the wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
and
happened.
Ginny still like points to the wall and is like, "That's where Delilah ran into the wall." Sweet Delilah. She didn't know.
I'm still not sure she noticed.
Oh, it's amazing.
No.
We are so blessed to have dogs. Okay, where were we?